Lorenzo wiped sweat from his brow, stepping back to admire his work. His motorcycle gleamed under the morning sun, streaming through the garage door. A few more parts were needed, but it was shaping up well. He cleaned his hands with a rag and headed inside. His father sat at the kitchen table, reading the newspaper, a fresh cup of coffee in front of him. Seeing him at home in the mornings still felt strange. Retirement had slowed his once rigid routine. "Working today?" his father asked without looking up. "Yeah, not until noon," Lorenzo replied, grabbing a mug. "Must be nice." "It is. I have a new client, Whitmore Real Estate. George Whitmore personally requested me." His father's expression darkened. Him. Lorenzo knew why. His dad had worked maintenance for decades, often dealing with the arrogant Whitmore patriarch. But Lorenzo didn't have the luxury of turning down the job. If he succeeded, NYC Consultants would solidify its reputation, making Lorenzo the most successful CEO in its history. "Like it or not, he has money and influence," Lorenzo said. "So do you." Lorenzo chuckled, pouring coffee. "Yeah, but this is a game, and I intend to win." His father gave him a long, pensive look. "Be careful, Lorenzo." Lorenzo smirked. "Where's the fun in that?" "I mean it. You don't know Whitmore like I do." "I'll be sharp, Dad. Don't worry." Lorenzo lifted his mug and a mock toast and left to get ready. Upstairs, his phone buzzed. A message from Jeannie, his ex-wife. "I'm coming to New York soon." Lorenzo smiled, sinking onto his bed. "When?" "A few months. Chloe has an audition. We'll have to catch up. Send me the dates." "Will do." "Love, yeah." Their marriage had been short, but filled with good memories. He sighed, took a sip of coffee, and prepared for his day. A couple of hours later, Lorenzo arrived at Whitmore Real Estate, reviewing files on his tablet before heading inside. The business had been successful under George Whitmore, then declined under his son's leadership. The current manager, Dean Sutter, had been struggling to stop the financial bleeding. Lorenzo checked in at the front desk, then made his way through the office. Employees paused their conversations as he passed, likely trying to size him up. He gave a few reassuring smiles, making it clear he wasn't some cutthroat consultant looking to fire people at first glance. Outside Sutter's office, his assistant sat at a desk, her focus sharp. She was striking curvy, with wild brown curls pulled into a loose bun. When she looked up, her deep brown eyes locked onto Lorenzo's, momentarily startled. "Good morning," Lorenzo greeted. "I'm Lorenzo Cross, here to see Dean Sutter." She hesitated before responding. "Right. Of course. Mr. Cross." Lorenzo tilted his head slightly. There was something familiar about her, but he couldn't place it. "Mr. Sutter is on a call with Mr. Whitmore," she said, her voice suddenly crisp. "It shouldn't be long." "I'll wait," Lorenzo said. "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" She stiffened. "I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, Mr. Cross." Lorenzo picked up on her defensiveness, but let it slide. "What's your name?" "Clara." "Well, Clara, do you know why I'm here?" "No." "Enlighten me." Lorenzo smirked. "It's no secret this company is in trouble. I'm here to fix that." For the first time, Clara seemed genuinely interested. "And how do you plan to do that?" "You're Sutter's assistant, which means you probably know this company better than most." Clara gave a wry smile. "Or maybe the owner just has his head up his own." The office door opened, cutting her off. Sutter hurried out, looking frazzled. "Mr. Cross, sorry to keep you waiting," he said, extending a hand. "Please, come in." As Lorenzo followed him inside, Sutter turned back. "Clara, join us. Take notes." Clara grabbed her tablet and entered behind them. Sutter's office was spacious but modestly furnished. "Can I get you coffee? Water?" "No, thanks," Lorenzo said, setting up his tablet. "I take it you know why I'm here?" "Yes, Mr. Whitmore called me this morning," Sutter replied. "I only just found out myself." "That's common," Lorenzo said. "Employers like an unfiltered first impression." "You mean they like to catch us off guard?" Claire muttered. Lorenzo glanced at her. "If everything's running smoothly, that shouldn't be a problem." "We're happy to assist in any way we can," Sutter interjected. Lorenzo didn't miss the way Claire pursed her lips, but stayed silent. "I'll need access to your financial records," Lorenzo said. "Sales reports, personnel files, expense logs, everything." "Clara can provide most of it," Sutter said. "I'll handle the more sensitive documents." Lorenzo nodded. "Once I've reviewed everything, I'll implement some preliminary changes. Small adjustments to improve efficiency. I need your full support on them." "You're the expert," Sutter agreed. "We'll follow your lead." "I don't sugarcoat my findings," Lorenzo warned. Clara narrowed her eyes. You're talking like we've already done something wrong. In my experience, companies don't lose money for no reason, Lorenzo replied. But let's not jump to conclusions. Sutter nodded. Lorenzo pulled out his notes. Now, show me around. Claire's expression was unreadable as she stood. Lorenzo couldn't shake the feeling that she knew something he didn't. This was going to be interesting. Clara didn't need an alarm anymore. Her mother's cat, Schmoops, always woke her up by nudging her face and meowing loudly. She smiled, petting the cat before curling back under the blankets. Just as she was about to fall asleep again, the soft thud of small feet echoed in the room. Adrian, her 3-year-old son, climbed onto her bed and snuggled close, his blanket covering his head. Morning, Mommy, he murmured sleepily. Morning, buddy, she whispered, holding him tight. Despite the comfort of holding her son, Clara couldn't shake off her worries. Lorenzo Cross was back, the man who had once disappeared from her life without a word after a single night together. Now, he was the new consultant at her company, making changes that could affect her job. The thought made her uneasy. Schmoops meowed again. Not wanting Adrian to wake, Claire got up to feed her. She tiptoed past her mother's room, noting the half-finished dresses and fabrics scattered around. Her mother had been taking in more sewing work lately, her online business growing. But between that and taking care of Clara's father and Adrian, she hardly had time to rest. In the living room, her father sat in his usual chair, watching TV. He struggled with mobility after his accident, relying on Clara and her mother for most things. Morning, Dad, she said, kissing his forehead. Didn't sleep much, he admitted. Clara frowned. You should have called me. I didn't want to wake the kid. She didn't argue. He was proud, and his dependence on them weighed heavily on him. Instead, she busied herself making breakfast. Adrian emerged, wide awake. Mommy, can we have pancakes? Not today, sweetie. We're having eggs. His face fell. Can we go buy some? Before Clara could respond, her father spoke. Adrian, your mom works hard. We should be grateful for what we have. Adrian looked down, then turned to Clara and hugged her. Sorry, Mommy. She smiled, hugging him back. As they ate together, Claire's mother finally emerged, looking exhausted. I wanted to make breakfast for you for a change, she said, kissing Clara's cheek. Rain check, Clara replied, grateful for the moment of normalcy before work. Arriving at the office, Clara made coffee and settled into her morning routine. It was the only peaceful time of the day before the chaos began. But that peace was quickly shattered when Lorenzo walked in, carrying a motorcycle helmet. You're here early, she said, eyeing the helmet. So are you. I always open the office early. He leaned against the doorway, watching her. Dean allows a lot of overtime. Clara tensed. He cares about his employees. When business slows, hours have to be cut. Her stomach tightened. She depended on those hours to support her family. Lorenzo strolled into Dean's office without waiting for permission, leaving Clara to stew in her worries. A while later, he called her in. He was buried in paperwork but looked up when she entered. You've been here the longest, right? Yes. Then you know a lot about how things run. Clara crossed her arms. If you're asking me to spy, I won't. He smirked. I just need insight. I can give you reports, but I won't betray my coworkers. Lorenzo studied her for a moment. You don't seem happy I'm here. Any particular reason? She lifted her chin. Is it that obvious? A little. But it's understandable. Change is uncomfortable, especially when it puts people's jobs at risk. His expression softened. I admire your loyalty. This isn't just about loyalty. Claire turned away, unwilling to let him see the emotion stirring inside her. She still hadn't forgotten how he'd disappeared from her life before. Now he was back, and she wasn't sure if she could trust him. As she sat at her desk, Dean walked in, surprised to see Lorenzo. Clara braced herself for whatever was coming next. Lorenzo was here to shake things up, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for it. Lorenzo arrived early at Whitmore to sift through the mountain of reports. He'd only been there a week, but the cracks in the company were already obvious. Sales had steadily risen until a sudden dip a few years ago, and he intended to find out why. His thoughts were interrupted when the office door opened. Clara walked in, her dark curls wild around her face. She headed straight for the coffee machine, unaware of his presence. He watched for a moment before speaking. Can I help you? Clara jumped, spinning around. You scared me. She gasped, clutching her chest. I didn't see you. I gathered as much. What are you doing in my office? She frowned. Your office? Lorenzo leaned back. Mr. Sutter was let go last night. Mr. Whitmore asked me to take over until he finds a replacement. Clara's eyes flashed with anger. What do you mean he was let go? This place is his life. Trust me, it's for the best. She slammed her coffee cup down. He gave years to this company, and you just dismissed him? I didn't. Mr. Whitmore did. Sutter saw it coming. He got a good severance. Her glare burned into him. That doesn't make it right. Lorenzo sighed, knowing this conversation would go nowhere. For 5 years, this company has been hemorrhaging money. Sutter failed to fix it. Now, I need you to email the staff about a meeting at 10. She crossed her arms. So you fire my boss and then start ordering me around? You were his assistant. Now, you're mine. He met her sharp gaze. And I won't tolerate being cursed at in my office. If you don't like it, no one is stopping you from leaving. Clara clenched her fists but remained silent. Finally, her shoulders slumped. Will that be all? Lorenzo nodded, satisfied. Share your calendar with me. Without another word, she turned on her heel and slammed the door behind her. Lorenzo tried to focus, but Claire lingered in his mind. She didn't need to like him, but she did need to respect him. Her disdain felt personal, and for the life of him, he couldn't figure out why. Before the meeting, Lorenzo called her in. She entered stiffly. Did you send the agenda? Yes. Contact HR? Yes. I need you to take minutes during the meeting. Yes. Her clipped tone amused him. He gestured for her to sit. I have another question. She hesitated before sitting. What is it? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Clara stiffened. Why do you care? You're sharp. I'm curious about your ambitions. She looked away. My plans are private. Lorenzo had read her file. She'd been in the same position for years without a raise, and there was no sign she was job hunting. You took real estate classes. Why did you stop? Life. Ever think of continuing? No. Why not? Personal reasons. He smirked at her deflections. Is there another position in the company you want? No. She glanced at the clock. I need to prep the conference room. Lorenzo chuckled as she left abruptly. The meeting went as expected. Lorenzo explained Sutter's dismissal and the company's financial struggles. If we don't make changes, Whitmore will go under, he warned. Tension filled the room. Employees whispered among themselves, some pale with worry. Others sat up, eager to prove themselves. Lorenzo assigned individual meetings. At the mention, some employees tensed. Those who worked hard weren't concerned. Those who didn't, clearly were. He glanced at Clara. She took notes, focused and professional. Beside her, a man leaned in and whispered something. She laughed, her face lighting up. Lorenzo felt an unexpected warmth in his chest. She was beautiful when she smiled. The meeting ended, and Clara left with the man. Lorenzo soon learned his name, Danny Baker, senior sales associate. Later, he found Clara chatting with him again, her laughter carrying across the office. Lorenzo stepped forward. Am I interrupting? Clara's smile faded. Danny straightened. Just scheduling my meeting. Lorenzo nodded. Nice to meet you. Danny looked flustered. It's not what it looked like. We weren't. Claire's face flushed. We weren't flirting. I don't care if you were, Lorenzo replied. He turned to leave but hesitated. Did you eat yet? Clara frowned. Why? I'm hungry, and I figured you were too. Lunch. On me. She scoffed. I'll pass. No one likes consultants. Oh, I don't mind consultants. I just don't like you. Lorenzo smirked. Yeah, I got that. I want to know why. She studied him carefully. I don't have to like you. No, but we do have to work together. She sighed. Fine. One meal. Lorenzo grinned. There's a cafe around the corner. Let's go. The office buzzed as they left together. Employees stared but quickly looked away. Clara stayed quiet in the elevator, fidgeting with her purse strap. It's just lunch, Lorenzo said. No need to be nervous. I'm not nervous about lunch. Then what are you nervous about? She pressed her lips together and said nothing. Outside, the sun was blinding. They walked to a small, air-conditioned cafe. The waitress greeted them. Drinks? Large coffee, 2 and 2, Lorenzo ordered. Small iced tea with lemon, Clara added. Lorenzo leaned forward. Before we talk work, let's clear the air. Clara kept her eyes on the menu. Regarding what? He lowered her menu. Whatever it is you hate about me. She set it down, meeting his gaze. You want honesty? Always. She sighed. Fine. I think you're arrogant. You came in here acting like you own the place, firing people like it's nothing. You don't care about this company, just the numbers. Lorenzo considered her words. I care about fixing what's broken. If Whitmore folds, everyone loses their jobs. Including you. Claire hesitated, then looked away. Maybe. Lorenzo leaned back. If it helps, I respect you. You're smart, and you care about this place. That's rare. She blinked, caught off guard. Thanks. I guess. Their drinks arrived and Lorenzo raised his cup. Truce? Clara eyed him warily, but finally clinked her glass against his. For now. Lorenzo smirked. He had a feeling this was just the beginning. Clara sat at the bar, staring at her empty shot glass. Her best friend, Sarah, watched her with wide eyes. Wait, what happened? Sarah asked. Clara exhaled sharply. The consultant at my job, the one who holds my career in his hands, is the same guy who took my virginity and then disappeared. Sarah blinked. Well, that's a twist. And the worst part? He didn't even remember me. Pretty sure he figured it out only because of your ridiculous Halloween gift. Sarah smirked. It was a great gift. But seriously, that's brutal. Clara grabbed her drink, ready to chug. Sarah stopped her. Slow down, girl. You don't want to be hugging the toilet later. And tomorrow, you still have to work with him. Clara groaned, sinking into her seat. I can't believe this is happening. Sarah's eyes sparkled mischievously. Okay, but was he at least good? Clara choked on her drink. Seriously? I mean, if he was bad, you'd just pretend it never happened. But you're upset, which means… Clara sighed. Fine. Yes, he was good. Happy? Sarah grinned. Knew it. Clara shook her head, sipping her drink. Doesn't matter. He's still an ass. Most men are. Sarah glanced at her fiancé, Ben, who was busy pouring drinks. But some are worth the trouble. Clara scoffed. Not interested. I have enough on my plate. Sarah arched an eyebrow. When was the last time you had a fling? Clara hesitated. That long, huh? Sarah teased. Kenny wasn't that long ago, Clara argued. A year ago, Sarah corrected. You need a distraction. Before Clara could respond, Sarah's eyes landed on someone entering the bar. Oh, my God. That man is gorgeous. I'd drop my panties if I weren't engaged. Clara turned and her stomach dropped. You have got to be kidding me. Lorenzo walked in, looking effortlessly handsome. Clara turned back quickly. That's him. That's Lorenzo. Sarah's eyes widened. Your boss? Damn. He definitely has a big… Sarah. She chuckled. Oh, girl, you are so doomed. Before Clara could escape, a familiar voice spoke behind her. Clara. Sarah grinned, utterly amused, as Clara turned to face Lorenzo. Oh, joy. Must be my lucky day. Lorenzo smirked. Didn't expect to see you here. Trust me, I hate surprises. We need to talk. Clara sighed. We already did. No, you stormed out. I need to explain. Sarah leaned in. I'm gonna go. Have fun? She disappeared before Clara could stop her. Clara grabbed her purse, ready to leave, but Lorenzo blocked her path. Clara, listen. I didn't recognize you at first, and that was a mistake. But we have to work together, and I don't want the past to interfere. It won't, Clara said. It already has. Clara exhaled. Fine. Talk. Lorenzo took the seat beside her. I'm sorry for leaving that night. And I'm sorry for not recognizing you. Apology not accepted. He chuckled. You're determined to make this hard. You're used to getting off easy, aren't you? Hey, I own my mistakes. So I was a mistake? Lorenzo's expression softened. No. Never. Clara's heart skipped a beat. Then why? When we met, I was going through a divorce. I wasn't in the right place. But that night, it mattered. Clara looked away. Could have fooled me. Lorenzo sighed. Let's start over. No. You don't get off that easy. Lorenzo smirked. Funny, last time, it was pretty easy to get off. Clara blushed. Don't be gross. He chuckled. Come on. If we can joke about it, it takes the tension off. Let me buy you a drink? Clara stood up. I should go. We have work tomorrow and… I can't do this. Lorenzo nodded. You're not driving, are you? No. I'll walk. He hesitated. At least, let me walk you home. Clara studied him for a moment before sighing. Fine. But this doesn't change anything. Lorenzo smiled. Of course not. Lorenzo sat in silence, watching Clara disappear into her building. Their encounter had stirred something deep within him: guilt, longing, and an undeniable pull toward the past. He had never imagined revisiting those emotions, yet here they were, raw and unfiltered. Back home, he stood under the shower, letting the water wash away the tension, but the memory of her touch lingered. The way she had kissed him, fierce and unyielding, told him she wasn't as indifferent as she claimed. The next morning, Clara was at her desk on time, looking exhausted. Amused, Lorenzo leaned against her desk. "Rough night?" She shot him a glare. "I'm fine." He smirked. "You seemed tense when we parted ways." Grabbing a stack of files, she stood. "Excuse me, Lorenzo. I have work to do." By mid-morning, Lorenzo needed a file and buzzed Clara. No answer. Annoyed, he found her in the conference room, buried in notes. "Avoiding me?" he asked. "I'm working," she replied curtly. "In my office." 5 minutes. When she entered, she hesitated. "You wanted to see me?" Lorenzo studied her. "You've been avoiding me." Clara folded her arms. "I figured some distance would be best." "Because of last night?" "It was a mistake." Lorenzo stepped closer, voice low. "Then stop me." She didn't move. The air between them thickened, the unspoken words pressing down on them. Then, as if pulled by an invisible force, Clara closed the distance, her lips meeting his. The moment was brief, intense before she pulled away, breathless. "Shut up," she whispered, then left, leaving Lorenzo with a knowing smirk. Clara found herself pinned to the round table in the middle of the room, Lorenzo leaning over her, eyes filled with the same hunger she felt. His hands slid under her blouse, fingers trailing over her skin. Without thinking, she fumbled with his buttons, desperate to touch him. He pulled back briefly before yanking his shirt off, tossing it aside. His lips found hers again, urgent and unrelenting. As his hands roamed under her skirt, Clara knew this was dangerous. He was her boss, but right now, neither of them seemed to care. His lips traced down her collarbone, sending shivers down her spine. Just as things intensified, Lorenzo suddenly paused. "Tell me you want this," he murmured against her lips. Clara hesitated for only a second. "I want you," Lorenzo groaned, kissing her deeply before lifting her onto the table's edge. Every touch, every kiss sent her reeling, making it impossible to think. But as they dressed afterward, reality set in. "That won't happen again," she muttered, tucking her blouse back in. Lorenzo arched a brow. "You really think so?" She sighed, avoiding his gaze. "We got it out of our system. Now we move on." "That's not how this works, Clara. You can't pretend it didn't happen." "Watch me," she shot back before leaving his office. Back at her desk, she tried to regain composure. It was impossible. She had given in to temptation, and now she had to figure out how to work alongside him without letting emotions get in the way. Danny, a coworker, approached with a smile. "Feeling better?" Clara blinked. "What?" "You looked pale earlier, but now you've got some color back." She forced a laugh. "Oh, yeah. I'm fine." Before she could say more, Lorenzo appeared in the doorway. "I need you in a meeting." She grabbed her tablet and followed him to the conference room, forcing herself to ignore the table and the memory of what had just transpired there. Danny sat across from them, clearly nervous. "There are inconsistencies in the sales numbers," Lorenzo stated. "What's the process for leads?" Danny, caught off guard, stammered. "The associate who takes the call usually handles the client." Lorenzo's hand found Claire's knee under the table, his thumb brushing slow circles against her skin. She tensed, struggling to focus. "With your numbers as strong as they are, I'm promoting you to senior sales coordinator," Lorenzo announced. Danny's eyes widened. Are you serious?" Lorenzo nodded. "Very. We need leadership, and I believe you're the right person. You and I will work closely to improve efficiency." "Clara, I'll send you the paperwork. You'll need to sign as a witness." "Of course," she replied, startled by the unexpected promotion. Danny, still in shock, shook Lorenzo's hand enthusiastically. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "I know you won't," Lorenzo said, dismissing him. As soon as Danny left, Claire turned to Lorenzo. "Why did you do that?" Lorenzo frowned. "Do what?" "Promote someone who deserves it?" "I just thought we were cutting costs." Lorenzo leaned back. "Saving money isn't the only way to fix a struggling company. Investing in good people pays off more." For the first time, Claire really saw him. Lorenzo wasn't just some arrogant boss, he knew exactly what he was doing. And that realization scared her more than anything. Lorenzo always got what he wanted, and Claire was no exception. She denied her attraction to him, but her body told a different story. The tension between them was undeniable. Lorenzo found her resistance thrilling. It only fueled his determination to break through her defenses. Their first encounter in the office had been unplanned, but unforgettable. Since then, Claire kept his door open whenever they met, trying to maintain boundaries. Lorenzo respected her space, but couldn't shake the desire to feel her again. Every stolen glance, every brush of skin, only intensified the pull between them. One afternoon, Claire entered the records room, arms full of folders. Lorenzo followed, watching her. When she turned and saw him, she gasped. "You scared me." "Did I?" he said, stepping closer. Claire gripped the files tighter. "We said we wouldn't do this again." "You said that," he corrected, taking the files and setting them aside. "I remember us both agreeing it felt amazing." She hesitated. Lorenzo reached for one of her curls, wrapping it around his finger. "Stop me," he whispered. "Tell me to leave." She didn't. Instead, her hands landed on his hips, pulling him closer. That was all the invitation he needed. Lorenzo kissed her, deep and slow. Clara melted against him, her body arching as his hands explored her curves. His lips found a sensitive spot on her neck, and she shuddered in response. Encouraged, he let his hands roam, savoring her warmth. She was breathtaking, and he wanted nothing more than to prove she wanted him just as much. Afterward, Clara pulled away, breathless. "We can't keep doing this." "I disagree." He watched her straighten her skirt, avoiding his gaze. "I have work to do." She tried to sound firm, but the smirk on her lips betrayed her. Lorenzo grinned, pinching her hip playfully. "Now I can focus." She left first, and he followed shortly after, his mind still consumed by her. Minutes later, Claire entered his office, all business. "I have the messages you asked for." "Great. Have a seat." He motioned to the chair across from him. She sat, shifting uncomfortably. "Everything all right?" he asked, feigning innocence. "I'm fine," she replied, avoiding his eyes. Lorenzo leaned forward. "I must not be doing my job properly." Claire's cheeks flushed. "Stop annoying your assistant." "Fine. Lay them on me." She went over his messages, and he watched her, admiring the way her blouse clung to her frame. She was trying to create distance, but Lorenzo saw through it. She wanted him as much as he wanted her. As the afternoon sales meeting approached, Claire took a seat beside him. When Baker, a member of the sales team, moved to sit next to her, Lorenzo's glare made him think twice. Lorenzo began the meeting, announcing a new incentive plan. Claire moved around the room, passing out documents. Lorenzo's gaze followed her, lingering on the curve of her hips. He felt the weight of her earlier surrender in his pocket, a reminder of how much she wanted him, no matter how much she protested. When she sat down, her skirt inched up, revealing smooth skin. Lorenzo placed his hand on her knee under the table. Clara stiffened, but didn't push him away. Emboldened, he slid his fingers higher, teasing her, making her squirm. Her breath hitched, but she stayed silent, pretending to focus on the meeting. He stopped suddenly, pulling away. Clara let out a quiet exhale. Lorenzo smirked. "Well done, Baker," he said, wrapping up the meeting. "These new procedures go into effect tomorrow. Any questions, direct them to Baker. I'll be in my office." As the team filed out, Claire lingered for a moment, her gaze flickering to Lorenzo's. He leaned in slightly, his voice low and teasing. "I hope you enjoy the rest of your day." She rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide the hint of a smile. Lorenzo watched her leave, already anticipating the next time she would try and fail to resist him. Claire had always heard that there was a fine line between love and hate, and she had crossed it more times than she cared to admit when it came to Lorenzo. She thought she could suppress her feelings, but every time he got close, she found herself giving in. He never forced her, always giving her the choice to walk away, but she never did. He had a way of unraveling her with just a touch. Their moments together were risky, and that only heightened the intensity. At work, Lorenzo was professional, yet smug. He knew the effect he had on her and exploited it whenever possible. His latest stunt had her plotting revenge, determined to make him squirm for once. That morning, Claire dressed carefully, choosing a fitted skirt and blazer that accentuated her curves. As Lorenzo approached her desk, she met his gaze confidently. "Morning, Clara. I have an 8 o'clock with Mr. Whitmore. Make sure the conference room is prepped." "Already done. Want to meet in your office beforehand to go over the specifics?" Her tone held an unspoken challenge. Lorenzo smirked. "Tempting, but I'm all set." "I meant for real," she murmured. "In that case, meet me in 20 minutes. She waited 10, then entered his office. He was on the phone, back turned to her, speaking to a client. When he finally turned, his gaze locked onto her fitted blouse. She leaned against his desk, making sure he noticed her confidence, the way she controlled the moment. Lorenzo struggled to keep the conversation going, distracted. Claire smirked, teasing him with subtle movements. He barely finished his call before slamming the receiver down. "What's this all about?" he asked. "Just proving a point," she replied. "You're playing with fire, Claire." "Maybe. But I won't be the one getting burned." Before he could respond, footsteps approached. Claire quickly buttoned her blazer just as George Whitmore strode in. "Cross," Whitmore barked. "Your assistant is slacking." Lorenzo's expression hardened. "Hardly. We were preparing for the meeting." Whitmore ignored Clara completely. Lorenzo, however, wasn't having it. "I believe Claire greeted you, Mr. Whitmore. Or did you not see her outstretched hand?" The room tensed. Whitmore barely acknowledged her with a curt nod before moving on. Clara exchanged a glance with Lorenzo, appreciating his unexpected defense. After the tense interaction, Clara stepped out to check on the conference room. On the way, she ran into coworkers, murmuring about the company's future. "Careful," she warned. "Whitmore's here, and Lorenzo just might have ticked him off." The others debated the stability of their jobs. Rumors swirled, and Clara sensed the subtle hints that people were speculating about her relationship with Lorenzo. She dismissed it, focusing on work instead. Later, as the meeting began, Whitmore wasted no time cutting into Lorenzo's progress. "Is this place making money yet?" Lorenzo remained composed. "We're seeing steady growth, but it takes time." "Not good enough," Whitmore snapped. Clara observed Lorenzo's patience wearing thin, but he held firm, defending his strategies. When the grueling meeting finally ended, Whitmore left with a final warning. "I expect more results next time." As soon as he was gone, Lorenzo clenched his jaw, the tension still evident. Claire wished she could comfort him, but knew better than to cross that line at work. Instead, she cleaned up the conference room, mulling over how he had managed to remain so composed under pressure. The rest of the day dragged on, and Lorenzo remained behind his closed office door. When the office emptied out, Claire hesitated before locking up. She knew he was still inside, but she didn't disturb him. Instead, she left quietly, thoughts of their complex relationship lingering in her mind. Lorenzo leaned against Clara's desk, a playful smile on his lips. "We should do dinner." Clara's eyes widened. "What?" "It's Friday. Let's go on a date." She hesitated. "You're my boss. For now. My job here is temporary." He shrugged. "Besides, we've already crossed that line. I thought this was just casual." "I never said that." He met her gaze, holding steady. "Come on, let me take you out." She sighed, then picked up her phone. "Let me check if my mom can watch my son." Lorenzo waited, picking up a framed picture on her desk. A little boy grinned widely, sitting on an elderly man's lap. He had Clara's smile. "Is this him?" She gently took the photo. "Yeah, he's cute." "Is his dad in the picture?" A brief silence. Then she set the frame back down. "No." A moment later, her phone buzzed. "Looks like we're set." "Great. I'll pick you up at 7. I can meet you there." Lorenzo shook his head. "Nope. Proper date. I'm picking you up." She gave a small, uncertain smile. "Okay." At home, Lorenzo found his father rummaging through the fridge. "Dinner plans?" his dad asked. "Actually, I have a date." "That's great." "Who's the lucky lady?" "Clara." His father's smile vanished. "Your assistant?" "It's not like that. We knew each other before Whitmore." His dad crossed his arms. "It's still inappropriate. It's mutual. She's not being forced." Lorenzo sighed. "It's just dinner. You should wait until you're not working there." "I don't want to, and neither does she." Lorenzo grabbed his helmet. "I have to get ready." His father shook his head. "I'm disappointed." Lorenzo exhaled sharply. What else is new? Claire's apartment was in an old, dimly lit building. When she answered the door, she looked stunning. Dark jeans and a red blouse hugged her curves perfectly. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Lorenzo teased. She hesitated. "I don't think—" "Nen, introduce us to your date," a voice called from inside. She groaned, stepping aside. "After you." Inside, Lorenzo met her parents, Kenneth and Melinda. Her mother pulled him into a warm hug. "It's so nice to meet you. Claire's been talking about you." "She's exaggerating," Claire muttered, cheeks pink. Kenneth eyed Lorenzo. "Do you enjoy working at NYC Consultants?" "Very much." "Good." Life's too short to do anything you don't love. Agreed. Can I get you something? Coffee? Tea? Melinda offered. No, thank you, but I appreciate it. Call me Milai. She beamed. We're so glad Claire is going out. She deserves a night off. Adrian appeared in the doorway, peering up at Lorenzo. Where are you going? Clara crouched beside him. Out with my friend Lorenzo. I'll be back soon. Adrian extended a tiny hand. I'm Adrian. Lorenzo grinned and shook it. Nice to meet you. Do you want to play? Maybe next time, buddy. After a few more hugs and goodbyes, they finally made it outside. Clara spotted Lorenzo's motorcycle and froze. No way. I am not riding that thing. Lorenzo held out a helmet. It's safe. Trust me. It'll ruin my hair. You'll still look stunning. She sighed, but took the helmet. When she climbed on behind him, she clung tightly. I can't believe I'm doing this. If you can kiss your boss in the office, you can ride a motorcycle. She smacked his arm just as he started the engine, her grip tightening as they sped off. Lorenzo parked outside a cozy pizza joint. Clara climbed off shakily. Okay, that was actually fun. Told you. He smoothed her windswept curls. Inside, they grabbed a booth. Lorenzo ordered beers while Clara eyed the menu. Instead of reading, he studied her. Her loose curls framed her face beautifully. You surprised me, she said. Oh, yeah? I figured you'd take me somewhere fancy. Did you want me to? God, no. I feel awkward in those places. This is more my speed. I'm glad. Also, stop looking at the prices. It's on me. She blushed. How'd you know I was calculating? Because every time you do, your lips move like you're doing math. She gave him a funny look. Didn't realize you paid that much attention. I always do. Her cheeks warmed, and she refocused on the menu. Force of habit. When money's tight, you calculate everything. I get it. I wasn't always rich. She raised an eyebrow. Really? Really. Grew up near here. Just me and my dad. Huh. I wouldn't have guessed. What do you want to know? She grinned. Birthday? July 9th. Favorite food? Eggs Benedict. Favorite color? Red. First job? Shoe store. Favorite hobby? He smirked. Spending time with you. She laughed. Smooth. My turn. Bring it. Birthday? October 22nd. Favorite food? Sushi. Favorite color? Turquoise. First job? Telemarketer. Favorite hobby? She smirked. Spending time with you. Hey, we have something in common. She chuckled, then fidgeted slightly. Lorenzo noticed. Why didn't you want me to pick you up? She hesitated. I guess I was embarrassed. Of what? She exhaled, looking at her hands. My home. My family. My life. Lorenzo reached across the table, taking her hand in his. Clara, nothing about you embarrasses me. She swallowed hard, meeting his gaze. I'm just not used to this. You. Well, get used to it. He grinned. Because I'm not going anywhere. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wasn't sure how to respond. Instead, she squeezed his hand back, a small smile forming. Lorenzo knew in that moment that this was just the beginning. Clara and Lorenzo settled into a routine after their date, their relationship shifting from a secret office romance to something more serious. Their meetings became less frequent at work, opting instead for hotel rooms after an awkward encounter with Lorenzo's father at his home. Work picked up pace as Lorenzo's changes brought in more clients. He was gradually assuming the role of a boss rather than just a consultant, though his growing frustration with Whitmore's constant interference was evident. One morning, as Claire reviewed Lorenzo's schedule, a striking woman approached her desk. Tall, blonde, and with sparkling blue eyes, she asked, Is Lorenzo in? Who should I say is asking? Clara inquired. Jane Cross. Before Clara could respond, Lorenzo emerged from his office with a wide smile. Jeannie! Jojo. They embraced, and Claire instantly recognized the woman Lorenzo's ex-wife. Though Lorenzo had briefly mentioned their divorce, he had never gone into detail. Claire watched as Jeannie invited him to lunch, and though he extended an invitation to Clara, she declined, sensing she would be intruding. After they left, Claire struggled to focus on work, and took a break in the break room, where she found Danny and Hannah. They greeted her warmly, and the conversation soon turned to Jeannie. That would be his ex-wife, Claire informed them. Ooh! I thought so, Hannah said excitedly. She's been in the magazines. Danny rolled his eyes. You know, the gossip magazine's obsessed with rich people's love lives. Hannah continued. There were rumors one of them cheated. I doubt it, Claire said firmly. Lorenzo didn't seem like the type to be unfaithful. After a brief silence, Danny leaned forward. We know about you and Lorenzo. Claire's stomach flipped. What? I was being nosy, Hannah admitted sheepishly. After Diana's comments, I started paying attention. Claire sighed. Who else knows? Just us, Danny reassured her. We figured something was going on. Claire hesitated but admitted, we met years ago and reconnected. Hannah nodded. It must be serious. You don't strike me as the casual type. Clara snapped, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, I'm just confused. Do you have someone to talk to? Hannah asked. Realizing she did, Claire grabbed her phone and called her best friend Sarah. What's wrong? Who died? Sarah answered. No one. I just need advice. Lorenzo? Yes. Claire summarized everything, feeling relieved as she spoke. Girl. You're jealous of his ex because you don't know where you stand with him, Sarah said bluntly. Do you see a future with him? Claire hesitated before admitting, I think I do. Then tell him. It's not 1811, Clara. Sarah's words resonated with her. If she wanted Lorenzo, she had to make it clear. That afternoon, Lorenzo returned from lunch, and Clara watched as he and Jeannie said their goodbyes. She pushed down her jealousy, reminding herself that their relationship was in the past. Determined, she followed Lorenzo into his office, shutting the door behind her. He turned, surprised. What's wrong? Clara stepped forward, confidence surging through her. I need to talk to you. Lorenzo smiled. I'm listening. Taking a deep breath, she finally asked, What are we doing, Lorenzo? Is this just a fling, or is it something more? Lorenzo's smile softened. Claire, you mean a lot to me. This isn't just casual. Relief flooded her, and she stepped closer. Then let's stop hiding. Lorenzo nodded. I was waiting for you to say that. With their feelings now out in the open, Clara felt lighter. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them together. Lorenzo woke up slowly, feeling warm and comfortable. Clara was tucked against his chest, her fingers tracing lazy patterns across his skin. This was the first night she had stayed over, something that had taken a lot of planning and convincing. But Lorenzo was glad they had made it work. He loved waking up beside her. Once they had officially committed to each other, they made an effort to spend time together outside of work as often as possible. In the office, they kept their relationship a secret, but everywhere else, they were inseparable. What are you thinking about? Clara asked sleepily. He stroked her arm and smiled. You. This. I'm glad you stayed. Me too. I just hope your dad isn't awake when I leave. Lorenzo chuckled. We're adults, Clara. You don't have to sneak out. I know. It's just awkward seeing him, knowing that he knows what we've been up to. The first time she had met his father was after spending the night, and it had been an awkward introduction. Lorenzo understood why she wanted to avoid a repeat of that encounter. That's fair, he admitted. I'm sure I'll feel the same way when I stay over at your place. She stiffened slightly. You staying over, it's not a good idea. Lorenzo frowned. Why not? Claire hesitated before explaining. Our place is small, and I share a room with Adrian. It wouldn't be appropriate. Lorenzo respected how careful she was about boundaries when it came to her son. He knew that if he was serious about Clara, he had to be serious about Adrian too. I could sleep on the couch, spend some time with your dad. I should get to know him anyway. A slow smile spread across Clara's face. You'd do that? Of course. We've had a few good conversations. I know he doesn't get out much. I'm sure he'd like the company. She traced his cheek with her fingers. Thank you. For what? For making an effort. My situation isn't easy, but with your support, it feels less daunting. Lorenzo kissed her lightly. Tonight, I'll bring dinner for all of us, and we'll spend the night in. Claire grinned. I'd love that. They spent a few more minutes wrapped in each other before Lorenzo's alarm went off. Clara groaned and buried her face in his chest. Boo. Think of it this way, Lorenzo teased. We can shower together. That piqued her interest. It took them much longer to get ready than pre-modellined. Lorenzo had wanted to make breakfast, but Claire needed to get home to prepare Adrian for school. He drove her, making a quick stop for bagels and coffee. When they arrived, Claire was immediately greeted by Adrian. Morning, Mom? He exclaimed. I missed you. I missed you too, sweetie, she replied, ruffling his hair. Lorenzo watched them, feeling a strange warmth at the sight. He had never considered fatherhood seriously before, but seeing Clara with Adrian made him wonder what it would be like to have a family with her. "Hey, buddy," Lorenzo greeted Adrian. Adrian's eyes lit up. "Did you bring me anything?" "Adrian," Clara scolded. "That's rude. But he always does." Lorenzo laughed, setting the bag of bagels on the table. "I brought breakfast. Do you like bagels?" Adrian nodded excitedly, grabbing one as Clara gathered plates. Lorenzo looked over at Clara's father, Ken, who yawned from the couch. "Good morning, Lorenzo," Ken said. "Morning, Ken. Can I get you a bagel?" "That'd be great, thanks." Clara and Lorenzo moved around the tiny kitchen carefully, avoiding bumping into each other. Ken sipped his coffee. "Your mom's still asleep," he told Clara. "She just finished a big order last night." Clara looked guilty. "If I had known she was so busy, I wouldn't have asked her to watch Adrian." She was happy to do it. "You deserved a night off." Lorenzo nodded. "Clara, you work too hard. You deserve breaks." Adrian giggled. Clara rolled her eyes but smiled. Lorenzo hated to leave but had to get to the office. "Whitmore's coming today." Clara made a face. "Ugh, don't remind me." Lorenzo kissed her forehead. "I'll see you soon." At the office, Whitmore arrived promptly at 8. Clara wasn't at her desk yet, so Lorenzo greeted him instead. "Let's talk in my office." Whitmore took a seat. "I know we talked about closing the company, but I found something that might change your mind." Whitmore looked uninterested. "You don't know me very well, Cross. I rarely let others influence my decisions." Lorenzo kept his composure. "Then why hire me as a consultant?" "Formality. I plumb at a line to close this branch anyway, just needed the paperwork to justify it." Lorenzo clenched his jaw. "I found a way to increase profit margins. The previous manager was taking a disproportionate cut." Whitmore's expression darkened. "My son put his heart into this company. He's entitled to compensation. He doesn't need it, and it's draining resources." "Excuse me?" "I found no documentation proving he's entitled to it. If you removed his unnecessary cut, the company would have more funds to grow." Whitmore's face turned red. "I told you, it was for his service." Lorenzo pressed on. "So, you and your son both take a percentage, but at the cost of the company's stability." Whitmore snapped. "You're out of line, Cross. I didn't ask you to dig into my personal finances. I asked you to make the business profitable. Since you couldn't, I'm shutting it down." Lorenzo had worked too hard to have his career jeopardized, but the worst part was knowing how this would affect Clara. He forced himself to remain professional. "Everyone will be gathered in the conference room soon. You can make the announcement then." Whitmore adjusted his jacket. "Good. It's a shame, really." "What is?" "That they failed so badly." Lorenzo clenched his fists. The employees had worked tirelessly, but poor management had set them up for failure. Yet, Whitmore blamed them instead of looking in the mirror. The walk to the conference room was long and heavy. Clara sat between her coworkers, her smile fading as she sensed the tension. The room fell silent as Lorenzo and Whitmore stood at the front. "I want to thank everyone for their hard work," Lorenzo began. "It's been a pleasure working with you all." There was polite applause, but the room was filled with unease. Some employees already guessed what was coming. "Unfortunately," Whitmore continued, "we'll be shutting down this branch at the end of the month." The room erupted in protests and questions. Clara's face paled. Lorenzo watched the employees he had grown to respect process the devastating news. Clara caught his gaze, her eyes filled with worry. Lorenzo had done everything he could to fight for this company, but it hadn't been enough. Now, he had to figure out how to help Clara navigate what came next, because he wasn't going to let her face this alone. Clara hurried out of Lorenzo's office, feeling like a fool. Her hands trembled as she grabbed her purse and coat. She knew people had overheard their argument, but she didn't care. Soon, none of them would have jobs anyway. Whitmore Real Estate was shutting down, and she would be out of work. She drove aimlessly, dreading the moment she'd have to tell her parents. Lorenzo had kept this from her for a week, and the betrayal stung deeply. If he could keep this a secret, what else had he hidden? When she finally pulled into her apartment complex, she hesitated before going inside. Her father looked up in surprise as she entered. "You're home early. Everything okay?" "Yes. I just don't feel well." The lie came easily. She wasn't ready for this conversation. As she passed her parents' room, the sound of her mother's sewing machine made her pause. She watched her work, wondering how to break the news. Her mother glanced up, eyes sharp behind her glasses. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just not feeling well." Her mother immediately stood, pressing a hand to Clara's forehead. Claire gently pushed it away. "I'll be okay. I just need to lie down." Then go rest. I'll pick up Adrian today. For once, Clara didn't argue. She retreated to her room, kicking off her heels. Tears stung her eyes as she pulled on an oversized t-shirt and climbed into bed. The past few weeks had been the happiest of her life, and now it was all gone. Lorenzo had ripped the rug from under her again. She cried until exhaustion took over, drifting into a restless sleep. Hours later, she woke to the sounds of laughter from the kitchen. She lay still, unwilling to face the world. A soft knock broke her haze. "Mommy? You awake?" Adrian's small voice filled the room. She forced a smile. "Hey, buddy. How was your day?" He climbed onto the bed, wrapping his arms around her neck. "Good. You feeling better?" "Not really." He kissed her cheek. "Better now?" She chuckled. "Much." Her mother entered, carrying a tray of soup. "Adrian, go serve Granddad while I talk to your mom." Adrian bounded out, leaving Clara to brace herself. "What happened?" her mother asked gently. "I don't want to talk about it." Claire stirred her soup absent-mindedly. Her mother sighed. "Is this about Lorenzo?" Claire nodded. "Did you two fight?" Another nod. "Did he break up with you?" "No. I ended things." Her mother frowned. "Why?" "You've been so happy. Whitmore is shutting down. We're all losing our jobs." Her mother's shoulders slumped. "Oh, honey. But you'll find another job. You're talented. That's not the problem." Lorenzo knew. He knew for a week and didn't tell me. Clara pushed the tray away, crossing her arms. Her mother studied her in silence. "That's why you ended it." "Yes. He should have told me." Her mother exhaled heavily. "Clara, I think you're using this as an excuse to push him away." Clara tensed. "I have to." "No, you don't." "Yes, I do." "But why?" Claire looked away, tracing patterns on her blanket. Her throat tightened. "Because of Adrian." Her mother frowned. "Lorenzo adores Adrian." Clara's hands trembled. "Lorenzo is Adrian's father." The words hung in the air. Her mother's face softened. "Why didn't you say anything before?" "What?" "That I had a one-night stand and got pregnant? That I didn't know how to find him?" Clara let out a humorless laugh. "I vowed to forget him, like he forgot me." Her mother placed a hand over Clara's. "Tell me everything." For the first time in 4 years, Claire spoke of that night. The bar, the hotel, the fleeting moment of connection followed by Lorenzo, vanishing by morning. "I told myself if he could forget me that easily, I'd do the same. But then he came back," her mother said softly. Claire nodded. "And everything changed." Her mother squeezed her hand. "Does he know?" "No." Her mother sighed. "Clara, he deserves to know. And Adrian deserves his father." Clara's voice wavered. "What if he rejects him?" "I don't think he will." "But what if he does?" Her mother squeezed her hand tighter. "Then at least you'll know the truth." Clara swallowed hard. She had tried to keep Adrian out of this, but she couldn't anymore. She had to tell Lorenzo. No more secrets. Her voice trembled. "How do I even start that conversation?" Her mother smiled gently. "You start with the truth." Lorenzo sat hunched over in his garage, surrounded by scattered bike parts. It was a project he'd started before working for Whitmore, but life had gotten in the way, especially after he and Clara had begun seeing each other. After she stormed out, he left Whitmore as well. Staying didn't make sense anymore. His hands were covered in grease, his forehead slick with sweat. He was so focused that he didn't hear the side door open. "Lorenzo?" He didn't look up. "Yeah, Dad? What the hell are you doing?" "It's almost midnight." Only then did Lorenzo glance around. The garage windows showed nothing but night sky. His back ached, and hunger gnawed at him. "I'll be in soon." His father crossed the room, grabbed the wrench from his hand, and shook his head. "No, you're done. Let's go." Lorenzo wanted to argue, but exhaustion hit him hard. He struggled to his feet and followed his father inside. In the kitchen, he washed his hands while his dad made him a sandwich and shoved it into his hands. "Eat." Lorenzo didn't argue. He hadn't realized how hungry he was until now. "Want to talk about it?" his father asked. "About what?" "Whatever made you lock yourself in the garage for hours." Lorenzo hesitated before answering. "Clara and I had a fight." "A bad one?" "The worst kind." She left. His father sighed, grabbed 2 beers from the fridge, and sat across from him. "What was the fight about?" Lorenzo hesitated, then admitted, "Whitmore's closing the company. We announced it today. She got mad that I didn't tell her beforehand. She accused me of not trying hard enough to save it." His father raised an eyebrow. Did you? I did everything I could. But it wasn't my decision. Then why didn't you tell her? I wanted to keep work and our relationship separate. His father shook his head. Lorenzo, she's your partner. That decision affects her. She'll get severance and a month's notice. That's not the point. That's exactly what she said. She was right. Lorenzo scowled. That's not what I want to hear. Too bad, his father said. You were wrong. Lorenzo clenched his jaw, but his father remained calm. You should have considered her feelings. Your job shouldn't come before your relationship. I didn't put work first. From her perspective, you did. Lorenzo exhaled, frustrated. You don't know what I'm going through. His father leaned back. I know exactly what you're going through. Lorenzo scoffed, but his father continued, his voice softer than Lorenzo had ever heard. Your mother and I had the same problems. Lorenzo froze. His father never talked about his mother. She had died when he was young, and details about her were scarce. We met young, right out of high school, his father said. She was a waitress, I was a cook. The first time I saw her, I nearly dropped my plate. He smiled at the memory. We married less than a year later. She got pregnant on our honeymoon, but lost the baby soon after. Lorenzo nearly dropped his beer. He had never known about that. She was devastated. It took 2 years before she was ready to try again. She always wanted to be a mother. His father chuckled. She told me that on our first date. I want kids, and if you don't, this isn't going to work. I was in love by the end of that meal. Lorenzo listened, captivated. She was thrilled when she got pregnant with you. His father hesitated, then continued. I insisted she quit working. She wanted to keep her job, but I was afraid. So, I worked even harder, saving every penny, moving us into a townhouse. But after you were born, I didn't slow down. We fought about it a lot. Why didn't you slow down? Lorenzo asked. His father sighed. Fear. I wanted to provide, to set an example. But if I had known she'd be taken from us so soon, I would have done things differently. Dad, you did what you had to do. His father shook his head. You have everything I never had, Lorenzo. I don't want you to spend your life working at the cost of love. Work makes me happy. When you were with Jeannie, I thought you'd slow down, but you didn't. Lorenzo frowned. That marriage didn't work. His father chuckled. Still, after the divorce, you buried yourself in work. What else was I supposed to do? Not give up on the family I know you want. Lorenzo pushed away his warm beer, lost in thought. Clara matters to you, his father said. Lorenzo swallowed hard. Yeah, she does. His father stood, clapped a hand on his shoulder. Get some sleep. Things will seem clearer in the morning. Lorenzo nodded. Thanks, Dad. They shared an awkward hug before parting ways. In his bedroom, Lorenzo stripped off his dirty clothes and plugged in his dead phone. He tried to ignore that the last time he had been in this bed. Clara had been beside him. Exhaustion weighed on him, but his mind wouldn't shut off. His father's words echoed in his head. You really loved her, didn't you? Lorenzo had asked. His father had nodded. Once you find the right person, everyone else pales in comparison. That was true. Clara was unlike anyone Lorenzo had ever met. He couldn't imagine never seeing her again, never holding her. He thought of Adrian, of having a yard where they could play catch. He wasn't trying to be a father figure, but the thought crossed his mind. His phone buzzed. Determined to fix the mess he had made, he picked it up only to find a message waiting for him. From Clara. Clara lay awake, her thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. Anxiety and guilt gnawed at her, as Adrian snuggled beside her, seeking comfort. She stroked his hair, thinking about Lorenzo and the message she had sent him. Hours passed before her phone finally lit up. Of course. 9 a.m. at my place. Relieved, she set her phone down and dozed off for a few hours. The next morning, after dropping Adrian at school, she arrived at Lorenzo's house earlier than Plum Adeline, sitting in her car, lost in memories. When the front door opened, Lorenzo appeared, dressed casually, looking relaxed. Seeing him made her heart race. Hi, she said hesitantly. Come on in, Lorenzo replied with a welcoming smile. Inside, she was surprised to find a breakfast spread, waffles, toast, peanut butter, coffee, all her favorites, along with fresh flowers. She eyed him in disbelief, but he simply gestured for her to sit. Lorenzo, you didn't have to. I wanted to, he interrupted. But before you say anything, let me speak first. Clara rushed to apologize for her outburst the day before. Lorenzo, however, dismissed it, admitting he had deserved it. Then he dropped a bombshell. I quit NYC Consultants. Claire's mouth fell open. What? I quit 20 minutes ago, he said, his voice steady. But why? You love your job. I love you more. His words stunned her. She had fallen for him, but she never imagined he felt the same. His eyes held sincerity, leaving no room for doubt. You do? Yes. I've known for a while. My job was important, but since you came back into my life, I realized I wanted more. I don't feel empty anymore. Tears welled in Clara's eyes as she struggled with the secret she had kept for years. Lorenzo, there's something you need to know. His brow furrowed. What is it? She hesitated, then took a deep breath. Adrian's your son. Lorenzo went still, staring at her in disbelief. Silence filled the space between them. Finally, he rose and began pacing. Are you serious? Claire nodded. You were my first. I found out I was pregnant 5 weeks later. Lorenzo ran a hand through his hair. But you were on the pill. There's always a small chance. Shock transformed into disbelief. Why didn't you tell me? How could I? She countered. You left without a trace. No last name, no number. How was I supposed to find you? The realization hit Lorenzo hard. He sat down, guilt settling in. Claire continued. I've been wanting to tell you since we reconnected. I was just scared. Lorenzo exhaled, shaking his head. We made a pretty cute kid. Claire chuckled through her tears. Yeah, we did. Lorenzo straightened. I need to see him. We should tell him. How do we even do this? I have no idea, Claire admitted, laughing weakly. But let's at least wait until he's done with preschool today. Lorenzo nodded, still dazed. Then, he squeezed Claire's hand. I get it. You did what you thought was best. That's all that matters. You're not mad? Oh, I'm shocked, he admitted. But I also see your point. And then I showed up not even remembering your name. No wonder you were furious. Clara smirked. Yeah, that was really bad. Lorenzo brought her hand to his lips. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. This doesn't change anything. I meant what I said. I love you, Claire. And now I have even more reason to be with you. Adrian being my son makes things clearer. How so? I was afraid you wouldn't want me in his life. Now I know I can be his father. I want that. I really do. Lorenzo smiled, pulling her into a warm embrace. The weight of her secret lifted, leaving room for hope. For the first time in years, Clara felt she could breathe. Lorenzo pulled her close, whispering, You haven't said it yet. Said what? She teased. You know what? She grinned playfully. I have no idea. Just say the words. I love you too. There it is. Lorenzo hugged her tighter, sealing the promise of a future together. Reina stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the delicate embroidery on her bridal dupatta. The golden threads shimmered under the soft light, reflecting the nervous excitement in her eyes. Today, she would become Hassan's wife. The thought made her heart race. She had spent countless nights dreaming of this moment. Yet now that it was here, an inexplicable nervousness settled in her chest. Her mother entered the room, her eyes brimming with emotions. You look beautiful, Beta, she whispered, cupping Reina's face. Reina smiled, blinking away the moisture gathering in her eyes. She had imagined this day with happiness, but a small part of her still felt anxious about the unknown. Meanwhile, in another part of the house, Hassan adjusted his sherwani, glancing at himself in the mirror. His best friend, Adil, clapped him on the shoulder. Nervous? He teased. Hassan smirked. A little. Adil chuckled. You're about to marry the love of your life. There's nothing to be nervous about. Hassan knew Adil was right. He had loved Reina for as long as he could remember. Their journey hadn't been simple, but it had led them here to this day, to this moment. The wedding ceremony proceeded smoothly, filled with love, prayers, and blessings. As Hassan and Reina exchanged glances across the ceremonial setting, the world seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them in a bubble of quiet understanding. Their hearts spoke louder than words ever could. That evening, as they sat together in their new home, Hassan reached for Reina's hand. Are you happy? He asked, his voice gentle. Reina nodded, her fingers tightening around his. More than I can put into words. He smiled, lifting her hand to his lips. Then that's all that matters. As the night deepened, they talked about their dreams, their fears, and everything in between. Their love story, though already written in destiny, was just beginning to unfold in the most beautiful way possible. 6 months had passed in the blink of an eye. Claire had left her job of 7 years and was now thriving in real estate. After earning her license, she transitioned from HR to sales, working alongside Lorenzo at their new agency. The change brought new experiences, new people, and an exciting boost in salary. Lorenzo was always there, cheering her on, supporting her through every challenge. She leaned back in her chair, smiling after finalizing another big sale. It had been a good day. Wanting a break, she decided to visit Lorenzo. His office door was closed, so she stopped by his assistant's desk. "Hey, Madeline, is he busy?" Madeline smiled knowingly. "For you? Never." Claire entered to find Lorenzo hunched over a report. He looked up and grinned. "Hey, babe. Haven't seen you all day." "I've been making us money," she teased, stepping closer. "Didn't want to bother you. I know you're working on the expansion budget. My fiancé could never bother me." He pulled her onto his lap, taking her hand and admiring the diamond ring he'd given her a week earlier. "I love how this looks on you," he murmured. She smiled, wrapping her arms around his neck. "It was really sweet of your dad to give it to you. I think he's finally ready to embrace my mother's memory rather than ignore it," Lorenzo admitted. "He even gave me a picture of her." "That's amazing. I can't wait to see it." He kissed her softly, and she sighed, happier than ever. "How's the expansion plan going?" she asked. Lorenzo flipped through some pages. "We're in a good place, but I think we should wait a few months to make sure everything's stable before expanding." "If we wait, someone else might take that space," she reminded him. "Are you sure?" "Positive," he assured her. "We're growing at the perfect pace." "You're the expert." Lorenzo chuckled. "You think we should just go for it, don't you?" "Well, yeah. It's worth the risk." He smirked. "I can't believe you're the one pushing risks now. You're supposed to be the practical one." "What can I say? You're a bad influence." "I'd say I'm an amazing influence." She rolled her eyes playfully as he kissed her again. Lorenzo had changed in the past 6 months. He was still the sharp businessman she had met. But there was a softness in him now, a warmth she adored. Claire's gaze landed on the framed picture of them with Adrian on his desk. The bond between father and son had only grown stronger. Adrian adored Lorenzo, and Lorenzo had embraced fatherhood naturally. "I've been thinking," Lorenzo said. "That's dangerous." "I know, but hear me out." He grinned. "I think you all should move in with me and my dad. That's a big step." "So is marriage? And you already agreed to that?" She hesitated. "Are you sure you're ready for all of us living together? That's a lot of people, me, Adrian, your dad. My parents, no one will ever have privacy." "Yeah, but we'll be under the same roof," Lorenzo said. "Our dads can talk sports all night. Your mom can finally have the big kitchen she's always wanted. And I get to be there when Adrian wakes up every morning." Clara ran her fingers through his hair, smiling. "You sound like you've already made up your mind." "I have." "Well, as wonderful as that sounds, I'm going to have to say no." Lorenzo frowned. "What? Why?" "Your place isn't big enough for all of us. I say we find a new place." His smile returned, and he tickled her side, making her laugh. "You did that on purpose?" "Maybe." He grinned. "You love making me squirm." "Me too, but for entirely different reasons." Still laughing, she leaned against him. "There's a new listing. It has a joint apartment, so my parents can have their own space while still being close. It's also a DA accessible, so my dad will have an easier time getting around. Plus, it's in the school district you wanted for Adrian." Lorenzo's eyes lit up. "You've already found the perfect place?" "Maybe I've been house hunting behind your back." "I'm in. Let's go check it out during lunch." "Perfect." "Speaking of planning," Lorenzo said, "we need to pick a wedding date. Your mom texts me about it every day. She's so excited. She's already making my dress, even though I told her she didn't have to." "What about September?" he suggested. "Something small, just family and close friends. I don't want anything too big or fancy. September's too far. We should do it sooner, like in 2 months." "You're in a rush to be Mrs. Cross?" Lorenzo teased. "Why so soon?" "Because if we wait too long, I won't fit into my dress." Lorenzo blinked, then narrowed his eyes playfully. "Why wouldn't you?" He stopped, realization dawning. "Are you pregnant?" Claire gave a small nod, watching as his face broke into pure joy. They hadn't pre-Madelined it, but after their engagement, she had stopped her birth control for a month due to some complications. When it was time to renew, they had talked about it, and she had decided not to go back on it. She hadn't expected things to happen so quickly, but the universe had its own plans. "Really?" Lorenzo's excitement was undeniable. "I'm going to be a dad again?" She cupped his cheek. You're going to be a dad again." With a wide grin, Lorenzo lifted her off the chair and spun her around. "Put me down," she giggled, swatting his shoulder. "You don't just randomly pick up a pregnant woman." "Ugh, I'm going to be sick." He quickly set her down. "Sorry." He cupped her face gently. "Thank you, Claire. You've given me everything I could ever want. I love you, Lorenzo. Never doubt it. Never." As he kissed her deeply, she melted into his warmth, feeling safe, loved, and ready for their next chapter together. The end.